Welcome to Gabby, the Marriage and Family podcast, where it will be okay. We are your hosts, marriage counselors Terrell and Tanisha Pugh. We are a family of 9 who, after the death of our daughter, learned that life was going to be okay. And now, we help other families in distress realize the same. Are you ready to heal and learn that your marriage and family will be okay? Well, let's get started. Hello, this is Terrell Pugh, and thank you so much for listening to the Gabby podcast. How would you like to do what you love, working with couples as a marriage coach or with individuals and families as a Christian counselor? Well, we can help you over at tntpugh.com. That's tntpew.com. Hey, we'd love to help you get started today, again, working as a marriage coach or a Christian counselor. Head over to tntpew.com. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you and welcome to our podcast, the Gabby podcast, where we discuss pretty much all things marriage and family. All right. Okay. I'm your host, or one of your hosts, Terrell, and this is my three-quarter better person.
Better half?
No, better 3/4.
Better 3/4. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm Tanisha Pugh, and I'm just so thrilled to be sitting here before the Peters.
Yes, the Peters.
You know, you guys have such a wealth of experience because you, Mr. and Mrs. Peters, you know, you guys didn't get married in the way that and Malika.
Well, let them tell their story.
I know I'm still in there.
You can lead us into it.
Yeah, you guys have some real life experience that I know a lot of people can benefit from, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to sit down with you both. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Yes. So let's begin by you guys go ahead and introducing yourselves. Tell our audience a little bit about who you are. You can reveal all of the dirt first, because that's what we want to hear. We want to hear the dirt.
Why we're here.
No, no, but really, go ahead.
So I'm Gerard William Peters Jr.
Yes.
All right.
We're going to get a security number with that?
No, not right now. I'm an IT professional. I was born in Queens, raised in Long Island, and then moved back to Queens when I graduated high school. We met really in church and in Queens, and then we migrated to Georgia after our kids were born a few years.
Woohoo!
Yeah, basically because of you and our brother and sister-in-law basically influenced us to come to Georgia. We're here now. It's a good move. And let my wife introduce herself.
All right.
His synapses is so short and to the point, so I'm going to try to be short to the point. I'm Malika. Like Gerard said, we met in church.
Yes.
I'm Guyanese. I was born in Guyana, but we moved to New York, and I lived in Brooklyn most of my life. When we got married, we lived in Queens. And we moved to Georgia about maybe 5 years after we were married.
It's been that long already, huh?
Yeah, it's been 5 years. So I believe the girls were 4 or 5 when we moved here, and now they're 10.
Wow.
So it's been about 5 years since we've been in Georgia, but it's been great. Like he said, the Pews encouraged us to move here. And my sister moved first. So we were able to, transition as well. So everything worked out, and here we are. We're finally in the same state.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and so I'll say this, we definitely have history, right? Us as friends.
Yeah.
I remember when we were all toddlers, and
we don't have that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my
so maybe
goodness.
not that far back. Not that far back.
We're toddlers in Christ.
Toddlers.
Toddlers in
my
Christ, I guess.
goodness. When everyone was about maybe 50 pounds lighter.
Right. That part. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
Oh goodness. I'll never forget, someone saw one of I think it was either my face or your face, and they said, wow, you look different. I didn't recognize it was still you. I thought, geez, I changed that much with 50 pounds more.
Maybe 50 pounds is too much. That's too much.
But yes. But all right, guys, I know there's a topic that we wanted to sort of discuss and just chop up a bit. The topic of autism and raising children in that along that subject line. Yes. You guys have twins, so that's also unique. So you guys got a lot of uniqueness there. So I'll let you guys sort of begin where you like to begin with that. If you want to start with a prompt, I would ask, what was it like when you guys first found out? And when did you find out? How did you find out? Yeah.
So after the twins were born, so Eliana and Ellie are twins. Identical twins. And
beautiful girls.
Thank you.
Can't wait till they play all the tricks on you guys. But yeah, go ahead.
Already. But so Eliana was smaller than Eliora. She wasn't getting, I guess, the nutrition. And while she was in the womb when they were doing the sonograms, she didn't like that sensation. So she would hide, she would twist. So they couldn't really get a measurement of her. And when they finally did, they realized, there was a problem. And she was just, small. So, she was in ICU for a day.
Okay.
They took her out, and she was okay. She loves to eat. She got big really fast, so everything was okay. We brought them home, and they were fine. They were babies.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's when they gave them they gave them multiple shots at one time.
Okay.
And she wasn't the same after that. Like, we came home and she was just, playing with her sister all the time. But when we came home after that, we just noticed she stayed by the corner of the door, and she would just sit in the corner for some reason.
With her one toy.
Yeah, and it was unlike her. So we took her from the corner, we tried to, engage, and as she grew a little older, that's when, I guess, signs started to come. She wasn't developing as fast. And then that's when they, started to suggest she maybe be on the spectrum.
I see.
Then, so that's when we first was aware. We knew something happened after that doctor's visit.
Right.
And that's when things started.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just have a quick follow-up to that, because you guys are heavily connected ministry-wise. And so coming from that aspect and that perspective, when you were first being told that potentially your daughter had autism, were you immediately receptive of that, or were you given?
Well, he's shaking his head no, because he wasn't. I feel like it took him a while to, receive that information. I mean, for me, I noticed certain things before the doctor said, she may be on the spectrum. So me being over analytical at times, I definitely noticed that she did things differently than her sister. Okay. So when she first started to sit, how they crawl and then they learn to sit down.
Yes.
So the way she did it was she would put her legs out to the side and make a split and then bring her legs to the front and sit up. It was just
interesting.
So
interesting. Yeah.
And her sister, when she sat up, she just sat up. But she found her own ways to do things. And she's been like that. One thing about autism, they say if you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person.
Oh, yes.
So you can't say, this is how they are. It's definitely a spectrum type of diagnosis. So just watching her, she did things differently than her sister. And I said, okay, this is, twins, maybe she's different. But she's always been adventurous and always been a problem solver. even when they were babies crawling around, every barrier we set up, every wall, she found a way around it, and her sister followed right behind her. But
Wow.
being Christians, it was hard to receive, but then as a parent, you kind of have to get the practical side of things, and you have to think about your child and what support your child would need.
Yes.
And to be completely honest, as a Christian, your first response is, God, why?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
why? And can you fix it right now? That's always what I say. Can you fix this right now? And I realize that when God doesn't fix something immediately, that it's going to be a process.
Yes.
And I remember she started therapy at home. And I was still in my, praying, God could turn this around and different things like that. And I would have dreams about how to schedule her therapy. And I would be so annoyed. Like, I don't want instruction on this process. I want you to fix it. I want you to fix it. I don't want instructions. 1 minute, guys. I'm sorry.
Sure. No,
that's
no
okay.
problem.
That's okay. This is a real part of the era that we live in now with everything being done from home.
That's right.
I mean, even yet, so I think doing the podcast, we would probably still do it this way. Maybe, I don't know. Plus, we don't have a studio, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No apologies necessary. This is real life.
Yes. So she, so, I started to have dreams about how to schedule her therapy, and maybe this is too much and that is too much. And I embraced it, but at the same time, I didn't want that type of instruction. I wanted this is the solution,
Yes.
So it's definitely been a process and a growing experience as a Christian. And most processes, they change you.
Right.
Person. So, we found out how much it changed us, because I think when you get married or you have children, you're so sure the kind of parent you're going to be.
Yeah.
My family looks at me now, and I'm more of the gentle parent. And no one expected that, because as the older sibling, I was not the gentle second parent, the gentle second mom. So you assume when you have a child, I'm going to be this type of parent. We're going to be strict, and we're going to have them do this way. Good luck with that. Wow. But when you have a child that has special needs, you have to adjust. You have to find new ways and how to interact. And then when you're interacting with her, you also have to interact with her sister certain ways. So it definitely changes you and it molds you, and you have to figure your way out through this process.
Absolutely.
And you said something that is so true. You go into parenting, and I think the case could be said for marriage as well, but you go into parenting expecting, this is the way I'm going to parent. And it sounds like for you've experienced, both of you, real life, that what you expect, you don't always get. And you have to be able to make that adjustment. One of the things we tell people is, if you're not a flexible person, have children. You will be forced to be flexible.
Yes, indeed.
But
yes,
wow.
indeed.
Wow.
And just kind of a personal observation from having knowing you both, I have absolutely seen how it's kind of like you've grown light years in this role of parenting. Malika, your nurturing side, just that patience, it shines through. Oh my goodness, you're being so much more emotionally in tune.
Felicia says, feel your feelings, Malika. You have to feel them.
Feel your feelings.
Feeling all of them.
Yes. I had, and there's also the knowledge that this has given you or caused you to have to grow in, to understand your child. Would you say it's, so initially when you hear autism, there may be some stigmas you associate with that word, right? I've seen, and just as a third party, I'm not in it. We're your friends, we're your family. I've seen that my view of autism as it's drastically changed. How now would you describe autism today versus perhaps how you might have described it previously?
You want to take that one or start?
So with autism, because it's a spectrum, when you first come into it, you don't understand. I didn't understand what you mean by a spectrum. I understand there's different severity levels, but
Yeah.
to say a spectrum, I didn't comprehend it the way that it is.
Yeah.
Because when she was first diagnosed, doctors were telling us that she may never be verbal, or she may have functions just standing and walking. So those type of things, they don't even have a clear diagnosis. They don't have a boundaries defined it themselves.
Right.
So the way I understand it now is that it's a mental disability, but it's only to the level of that person's will to grow. So because I know, for example, when I first seen her limitation, I think she was doing some kind of schoolwork problem, and I was with her and I was trying to show her things. And when we hit that wall, it was a look in her face, like she felt sad that she couldn't understand what I was telling her.
Yeah.
I realized that that hurt, because it's like I'm pushing to advance her, but I realize there's a wall that we're hitting right now, and I need to stop and think about how to go over that wall, of like another way around, to achieve the goal instead of the way that I know.
Right.
So it's a challenge to be creative and find ways that the child will respond to the task that needs to be completed. So it's just about being vigilant of her, of how she learns and what affects her, what's the word I'm looking for? Her motivation. What motivates her to complete a task?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's so powerful. Yeah. You know, what I'm hearing in that is, so initially I understood there was a spectrum, so different severity levels. But personally, when I started to interact with my own child, this is what I'm hearing from you, I bumped into what might look like a limitation, a wall, but that forced you to be more creative about how to overcome whatever that wall was. You know, what are some other pathways we could take to accomplish set goals? That's powerful.
It is, and it supports what you were saying earlier when you, for yourself, Malika, you said when you met one person with autism, you've met one autistic person, right? That you can't group them all into, you know, this one box. That's right. This one stereotypical box. That's right. And I think this also speaks to the importance of having that time and attention as a parent, right, with a child with special needs, because the learning, the development, everything has to be specialized to that individual. And so to that, I'm wondering maybe if you guys can talk a little bit about what you do to individualize and personalize care and support for her.
Okay. When at first I wasn't sure how to approach everything. I believe she had early intervention when she was 2. So they would come to the home and she would get ABA therapy at home, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. So I learned a lot by watching them with her. I remember her first session, and the therapist wanted her to put the block in the square hole in the toy. And she knows how to do it, and she just wouldn't want to do it, you know, but and the therapist, so she would get up and she'd walk away, and the therapist would take the toy, walk behind her, put it down, put the block in there, and I'm just watching, and it took 20 minutes, maybe more, to get her to finally put the block in there. And I said to myself, God help me, because it's gonna take so much patience. The patience required to do that.
Yes.
I was amazed. But one of the things they mentioned is when you come up with a plan of how you're going to a behavioral plan, you have to follow it and stick to it. And to be honest, I've not always done that, because after a while you get tired. You're just like, I don't feel like following through with this, because I have to walk behind you to make sure you do this. But it's so important
Yes.
It helps them to develop even faster, and you see abilities that you don't even realize that they have. But one of the, at least with her, I know for her, she kind of has to be challenged. And a lot of times when she gets to the point where she's getting through something or learning something new,
Right.
she may be a little resistant to that. So you kind of have to be able to encourage her and motivate her to still press forward. So once you follow through with that, and the more you do it, because a lot of it is being repetitive and having that structure. So this is how your day goes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is how it goes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So really having to stick to that, it's not easy. Some days you just want to say, if you brush your teeth, you brush your teeth. I don't know, because I'm tired.
Right.
And I hope you brush your teeth, but I don't know.
But there's methods we use. So.
Yeah, we've had I know, as an example of what he mentioned with finding creative ways to teach her. It was hard to get her to, at first she didn't really speak, but she would sing. So she loved music, nursery rhymes. So one day she was singing, and I started singing one of the nursery rhymes, and I stopped. And I paused and I said, "The wheels on the bus go." And she goes, round and round and round. So that kind of helped her to speak, because she wanted to finish the song.
Yes.
So that helped her to really speak. So I thank God for those things, because there's moments where I've gotten wisdom that I knew were from God, because I didn't know what to do or where to go next. She had a period where she was just hitting people in class.
And she was biting people. She bit me.
She bit you.
I tried to give her a kiss in the store, and she bit my lips, bit down and held it.
She was trying to kiss you.
I cried. No, she was trying to kiss me. So I realized when she started biting people, I just grabbed her thigh one day. I did a quick bite, and she stopped. So I did. Now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels.
We definitely have different approaches.
I see.
But it works,
that's the balance.
Because he's more of the.
That's real world. You bite a child, gonna bite you back.
He's a disciplinarian. Like, listen, you're still a child.
Yes.
You're gonna be in a child's place, and it's good to have that balance, because I realized with her is that I'm more of the, let me see what's motivating this behavior. I'm trying to. He's like, no, there's nothing motivating her. She's being bad. She's just being bad right now. And that's not the case for every child, but for her, we definitely learned that with her. 40% of her behavior I can attribute to autism. I'm going to say this is because she's
okay.
But some of that 60% is like, no, you're stubborn. No, you don't want to do this. So, and as she grew, I really started to see it. Like, this is, and when she would go into the classroom, I would have to tell her teachers, I said, listen, you have to be stern, because if she's going to try to figure out how to run circles around you, figures it out, you can't get her to do anything.
Wow.
She's a brilliant girl.
Yes.
So she, so I had to tell her teachers that, like, no, you have to enforce, how things should go. So he's definitely that, no, she's being rude.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Your tablet right now, because you're not gonna, and I would feel bad, like, okay, now that she understands, we gotta make sure she understands. And he's like, no, give me a tablet.
Okay.
But then I noticed that she'll come back to him and she'll go, sorry, Dad.
Really?
Or she'll try to give him a kiss on his face.
Trying to seduce me.
And she'll kiss his face, and she'll sit on his lap and try to be nice, and like, have it now,
Wow.
So I realized that we did need that balance where some things are behavioral and we have to understand why, but at the same time you're dealing with a child.
That's right.
At least in her case, a child that she is cognitively capable.
That's right.
Of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So just the fact that when she was 1, she was figuring out ways to escape anything that we put around her. There's cognitive ability there.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
So we kind of have to, balance that out and not just make everything into a therapy session. Sometimes we have to
That's right.
as parents, like, no, this is what you did. This is what's going to happen because you did this.
Right.
So it took me years. It took me years. I feel like I'm now finally stepping into that. It took me a long time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're at the master level yet? Yeah. Master level.
Who knows? Because
I would definitely say you guys are at master level. If I could share, I remember some time ago, it had to have been maybe a good 4 years or 3 to 4 years ago. We were in the car. I think Malika, we went somewhere. I don't remember exactly where we had gone, but Eliana was upset. She was in the car and she was upset and she was crying. And you were trying to calm her and comfort her, but she was just insistent on wanting her way. And I remember you got out of the car and you stood outside and you were breathing. You're like, and I thought, man, and I was observing you the entire time. And you went back in and, whatever you did, she didn't quite stop crying, but you got through to her some way. Fast forward some maybe just a few months ago, I hear the language change. You didn't say things like she's stubborn. You would say she's very self-directed.
Yes. That's my new word. She's very self-directed. Yes.
But really quick, to not make it longer, because I know we have more questions. Both approaches are absolutely necessary. What you said earlier just now about, yes, 40% is attributed to autism, but the rest is they're a child. I can imagine there are parents who may cripple their own ability to parent, create that structure for the child, for fear that, this is just the autism that's happened. That
there's a lack of cognitive ability.
Right. Where there isn't.
That's right.
I see Eliana and she is smart as a whip.
Yes.
She's very much functional. Yes. And contrary to what your physician said, she wouldn't, she wouldn't be able to have language and be able to walk. Did they say that she wouldn't be able to walk? She might have also
some physical issues.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
None of that's present, right. At least from our
no motor dysfunction, but yes, that's
exactly.
Right.
She's better balanced than her sister.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at that.
Much better.
Wow.
And I think the message in that is your child is not less than any other child. It's just that they learn different.
That's it.
Yes. And that's one of the things when she, during the process, it was one time the Lord spoke to me and said, when you see her, see her.
Yes.
When you look at her, just see her, because there's a child in there, there's a personality in there.
That's right.
Once I really grabbed hold to that, that's exactly what happened. I didn't look at her and see a child that couldn't this, couldn't that, couldn't the other. I just saw her for who she was. So I began to see personality, and there's times she'd do things and I'd laugh because that's just her personality. That's how she is.
Yes.
And it was so important for us not to lose her personality, because I've seen, I don't want to, judge other people's methods, but I've seen some methods where the children, the behavioral conditioning is so heavy that they're almost robotic, like they just know how to function, what is the right thing to say. And I remember when we were trying to pick another school for her, we went to visit the school, and the school just seemed
a jail,
like a prison, and the children were just so in line or sitting still. And I said, I don't want this environment for her.
Right.
She may learn how to fall in line, but the reality is she has to be who she is. Her personality still has to shine.
Yes.
So I could not do it. But it was so important for us to keep that personality. I mean, some days we're like, child, your personality. But
Wow.
but it was necessary to make sure, and because I was able to see it, to see how she is, to see the true child or the true Eliana behind all of those things, I knew what would work for her and what wouldn't. I was gonna take her down a particular route.
That's right. Great
you know
answers.
what you're saying, what you both are saying, it's so vital. You know, your child is an image bearer of God, right? And so I know one of the critiques of ABA is everything that you just said, right? It creates robots, it masks, it sort of takes away from personality, or it doesn't factor in personality. And you have to remember, your child does have personality. Your child has character. They have that image imprinted on them from their creator. And, you know, I think of it as, you know, they're in a maze almost. And it takes patience and it takes time for you to find your way to them through that maze. And it's not the same way for every child. It's not the same, you know, left turn and right turn. It's a very unique journey. And you guys have taken the task to actually find that way to her where you're able to actually interact with her in meaningful, very purposeful ways that other people are just not able to. You know, and I think parents need to know that it takes time and patience and really knowing, you know, all of this. This is certainly gold,
And it's helped her sister also. It's helped us in parenting her sister differently also. So I'm not that parent where I thought I would be super strict academically.
Yes.
You know, because that's how I was raised, you know, if anything below 80, you failed this exam. I'm not even kidding.
Not my favorite.
I'm not even kidding. In my house, anything below 80 was failing. It really was. But I thought I would emulate that with my kids. You know, they have to be strong academically. And I just found different ways to focus on her sister's creativity and to kind of, you know, realize her value and to have her realize it's valuable as well. So it wasn't necessarily in the ways that I thought I would do it, but she's still doing excellent academically. And I'm like, I didn't even do half the things my parents did and threatened me.
But that's the issue with cultural upbringing. People just repeat what they did as a child, regardless if they liked it or not. I realized that you can't just follow what your parents did. Like, you have to be mindful of how you do things, not because that's just the way it's done, but why. For instance, with I know COVID is a bad thing. A lot of people suffered and passed away, but a blessing from that was them being homeschooled. Because of that, we have, like, I used to go to work and come back. When I leave, they're just waking up. When I'm coming home, they're just going to bed. So they didn't know me. I didn't really know them. I didn't see them. And, you know, my purpose is to, you know, keep them up, keep them supported, but they don't know me. But I got to work from home and they going to school at home. We built a relationship. And she can't manipulate her teacher because Malika's her teacher. So
that's right. And mommy knows her.
Not the most analytical woman I know.
That was a great increase.
Her
education increased greatly because of that. I know a lot of people's education went down, but not our children.
Amen. I like that. I always like the principle of, you know, you have to take your child's education into your own hands. You know, don't leave it to the school system to teach them. They're not babysitters. You have to, it's your responsibility. But this makes me ask, you know, how do you guys balance parenting? You know, how do you divide the love if that's a thing? But how do you balance things with your other daughter,
Eliora?
Well, Eliora sort of is like me. Like, Malika calls her my mini me. But Eliana sort of favors Malika.
She's a teenager me, which is strange.
So it's not, I mean, I know that I'm not her favorite, and it hurts me, but it's fine. That's what it is.
She loves you.
But you know, Ellie, both of them, they go towards their mother. But you know, because I guess I'm the authority role. There's always some
Right.
kind of standoffish, but it's the
Somebody
way it
has
is.
to be the bad guy, right?
Yeah, somebody has to be the one to
The villain.
down. But I think Eliora understands, and she appreciates that. She knows that it's a necessary thing.
Yes.
Someone needs to be in control. Someone needs to be the one to lay down the law. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And from a developmental standpoint, that's something that kids are hungry for. They need it. Discipline and structure hurt the parents more than it hurts the child. What hurts is if that doesn't exist.
That's right.
So you guys are doing wonderful having both the nurture and the discipline present.
And sometimes parents are afraid that if they institute the structure, that it will sort of be oppressive to the child, or they may not be willing to commit to the energy that it takes. You know, I like when you had mentioned, you know, you saw the behavioral therapist take 20 minutes just to accomplish one task. And sometimes parents look at that and they say, no, that's not worth my time or investment. But I tell you what, if you don't put that time in, you are going to pay for it later on.
Yes.
And so you guys sort of figured that out very early. So that's good. That's
wonderful. So what about the relationship between Eliora and Eliana? How are they? How do they interact and grow as sisters?
Yes.
It's interesting because they're also twins. They kind of have an understanding of each other. So at times, Eliora will understand her. I remember when she was 2 or 3, when Eliana was first starting to exhibit, autistic symptoms, and we were frustrated, trying to figure out her behavior, and so we were visibly frustrated. So Eliora, she gets her high chair. She asks us to sit on the couch, and she brings her high chair and puts it in front of us. Yes, this actually happened. I wish I had it on video. She puts her high chair in front of us. She sits down in it. She climbs into it because she was little. And she sits down and she always has her hands. She talks a lot with her hands like this. And she's like, Mom, Dad, you have to love my sister, Eliana.
Wow.
You just have to love her. And even if she's bad, you just have to love her. And you love my sister, okay?
Wow.
You just have to love my sister. We're like, thank you for the lecture. And it was just, I was sitting there stunned, like, what just happened? And she's her advocate. She is 100% her advocate. So one time, I don't know what she did, and I was like, Eliana, I'm scolding her. But you're not supposed to do this, clean this up, or something. I think she drew an entire mural on the wall, right? And
kids love doing
Eliora
that.
comes and she goes, it's kind of nice, isn't it, Mom? No, it's not. And something else she did, and Eliora comes. Do you remember when she did good things? You remember when she did good?
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I love her.
She is 100% her advocate. I remember there was something else she did. And I think I had to clean the wall off because it was just, I think the other wall, she did the other wall, and I'm cleaning it off, and I'm saying, you know what, if you do this again, you guys, I'm good. You probably won't have your tablet for a month. And this is just me being extra.
Right.
Eliora comes to me and she goes, well, I mean, it's only going to take you how long to clean this up? Is that fair for her to, is a whole month? Is a whole month fair?
I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question just to clarify.
Go into social justice or something.
You guys are the parents, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think that happens to autistic children with other siblings. Like the other child would be sort of like a mini parent for them. She would try to direct Eliana. Like you hear her talk to her like you're not bigger than her. That's your equal. You understand that? Like you're not the boss of anyone here.
Right.
You're the boss of no one but yourself.
Wow.
But
that's hilarious.
She will advocate for her. I remember my mom, when my mom would babysit, and she'll tell us, she said, if she tries to stop Eliana, or, Eliana does something and she's like, Eliana, stop it, or whatever, Eliora will come like in between her and say, well, grandma, and my mom is old school. She's like, listen, you stop.
I know, that's right. I can see your mom.
She's just like, listen, no, you don't come to me. I'm dealing with her. You go sit down. But Eliana will automatically like stand by her, like, excuse me.
But she had times where she struggled, especially in the beginning. Because I remember once she
did have some.
Because Eliana has a thing of breaking her project. Like she'll build a Lego tower and she'll just pick it over just for fun and laugh. I think she did something that really got Eliora upset.
It was a lot.
She
really worked on it.
And she told us, like, I wish I just had a regular sibling.
Yes.
And then, my wife.
She didn't say it. She said it in a way. She was like, why did God make Eliana?
No.
Didn't she say it like that?
She was venting. She was upset.
Yeah.
So then, Malika tried to tell her, don't say that. I was like, no, get it all out.
That's
say
right.
how you feel, and then we can address the situation.
There you go.
So you guys are supporting very early her emotional development, very early.
It's like it was so good to feel like that and be upset.
Yes.
Don't suppress that because it doesn't get resolved.
That's right. And that
get it all out.
Yeah. That had to be Holy Spirit given.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, if she didn't have that opportunity to verbally express the frustrations that she had towards that. That's right. That's right.
And that turns into later in life resentment.
Yes.
And not even later in life. It does begin to show up early. It just looks different as adults, but it can come from her then isolating her sister. So yes. But I want to make a really quick transition before we run out of time, because I also think this is an important area to touch on. And look, guys, when I ask this question, you guys can be as candid or non-candid as you like. Where does intimacy fit in to all of this, right? Because I know it. Yes. I know it takes a lot of energy, right? But do you guys have time for intimacy? Do you guys have time? When I say intimacy, sexual intimacy and just non-sexual intimacy, dating and that type of thing. Yeah. Making sure you're taking care of yourself.
So I realized, because I was at work, I'm at the house. She's dealing with both of them mostly by herself.
Overnight in the beginning.
And I used to work overnight. So even when I come home, I'm sleeping for the majority of the day anyway. So I realized that she needs to talk. She needs to talk to an adult. To say adult things.
That's right.
To express herself. So that's what I did. So I made sure that, anytime she talked, I try to be there. I try to be attentive. I try to listen. My sense of thinking is always, you tell me a problem, I'm going to give you a resolution. Like I'm here to fix a problem. That's what I do. But I realize people don't always want a resolution to their problem. They just want to be heard.
That's right.
So just letting her vent, letting her get her emotions out. And when she stops and she's actually looking for advice, I get it. But other than that, just listen. And I like to make jokes. I make jokes about whoever she has a problem with, just to lighten the mood. So I just try to be, just a relationship friend. Like I'm a person. And then for sexual relations, you got to lock the door and bolt, push stuff in front of the door so the way opens it. And get you the 5-10 minutes in that you can.
Right. There you go.
Have to find the time. We definitely, when they were younger, we had to, and he worked overnight. Yeah. So he'd come home in the morning. So at night it's just, me, and then he gets home about 7 a.m. So you have to make that morning work for you. You got to make that daytime work for you. And for a while, I honestly did schedule my day. Okay. He gets home at this time. I have to make sure the kids are fed. They're in their high chair. They're sitting down. They're good. They're quiet. Now I can go to the room and do what I got to do as a wife in the morning. But I had to schedule it because it was important. But I didn't have a schedule. And it was one time I was mentioning to you, remember? And I said, I remember I used to have to schedule, and he looked at me like, what happened to all that dedication and scheduling? But I scheduled it like, okay, he's gonna be home. All right, now good. Okay, they're good now. You know, now I can move on to this. But I did have to be intentional.
Yes.
You know, being intentional, making sure you find that time was important for us. And you know, we've grown past that. They're a lot older, but you still have to, you know, make sure that those natural times can flow, and you can have those natural moments throughout the day, and even time for date nights. And we have a lot more help now. Just to be near family that, you know, sometimes they could spend the night somewhere, and then we got introduced to this marriage retreat that was very great. The Horizon Marriage Retreat. Shameless plug. The Horizon Marriage Retreat, that helped us a lot. I think that was our first time really going anywhere by ourselves, because we went to Canada with them, and that was our first time since, because they were born so fast after we got married. Like, we got married in April, and I was pregnant in June.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they were born before our first anniversary.
Wow.
So they were a little over a month. So we just jumped, and twins, like before your first, so we didn't really have that time. So everything was just, oh, you have twins. Oh, one is autistic. So you just kind of, next thing you know, it's been 3 years, like, we need to go somewhere by ourselves.
Need a date. Yes.
But it took time. And I think it takes intentionality, just making sure, realizing this is important. Let me make the time. You just have to make the time, because you can really lose yourself. And I think we were able to find joy, but humor helps a lot. One of the doctors said to us, the best advice I got with twins, he said, you have a sense of humor. You have twins, you have a sense of humor.
Okay.
So that helps us a lot to not take things so seriously, and not so, you know, intense about everything. And it lightened everything, but I feel like all in all, we've grown closer. Having to work through things together, we've definitely grown closer. The intimacy is a lot different. We first got married, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Wow. Wonderful.
It hasn't suffered, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, real quick. Any more children on the way? That's what I'm hearing.
No.
Shaking his head, no.
You're done.
I'll be 40 next year.
Oh boy, what does that mean?
If there's a miracle,
I will say, I will say this, you know, kind of seeing your chemistry just over the camera. And of course, you know, there's some bias because we know you guys personally, right? But it definitely just, it bleeds through that you're close. I can see your friendship is tangible. You know, how you each just kind of refer to one another. That chemistry, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. And I'll say this, I know that, of course, the having God in the center of your marriage is a big part of that. But knowing that you guys got married, pregnant, twins, one's autistic, and to see, would it be how many years? 10 years later?
11. We've been married 11 years.
Wow, 11 years later, to see this in front of us. My goodness, you know, that could have torn things apart for both of you. So you know, that could have caused you both to grow apart from each other. But you didn't. You put in the work. You did what was necessary. You supported each other.
But that's what I don't have a strong love for the medical field, because they put things in there like, oh, it's the father's fault that your child's autistic, or it could be the mother's fault. It could be because you did something when you were 20. And it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is a somewhat educational guess. And you're telling people things as if it's factual, causing strife.
If
you don't know, don't say it.
And what relevancy does that serve?
Exactly. What is that relevant?
Mhm.
Because
Why?
people are
Yeah.
searching for answers, and
Mhm.
anything
Yeah.
you give them, they're going to attach to it.
Yeah.
People have
Yeah.
to realize these people are not your savior. These are not gods.
That's
These
right.
are men like you. Some people put the medical field doctors as if they're Jesus, but they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
They,
true.
they make mistakes. They have error.
Mhm.
Their
Mhm.
lives are probably worse than yours.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very
I
true.
mean,
you-
we were told a lot of things that
Mhm.
wouldn't be,
Mm.
with our
Mhm.
daughter. And
It's your fault. It's that person's
yeah,
fault. It's
and I
this.
think if you internalize it,
Mm.
it can cause damage. It can definitely
Yes.
cause damage.
Mhm.
And you have to look at the truth and what you know and what God has revealed to be true, and you have
That's
to
right.
live according to that.
Amen.
Yeah.
It
So
really
That's
is
right.
you against the world. It's your relationship, your family against everyone else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And you guys have certainly lived that. And you
Yes.
are continuing to live that. And
That's
I
right.
encourage you guys to make that decision each and every day for each other.
Yes.
Don't listen to anyone's report
Mm.
other than the Lord's report
Mhm.
and the one you two decide you're going to make for each other, because this is unfolding for you both every single day. And every single day you have a choice, and you guys are choosing resiliency through it all.
Amen.
So this is a
Amen.
blessing.
yeah.
But all right. Well, any last words? I want to give you guys the last saying things, maybe I don't know, advice, any jokes, no, but anything at all that you would like parents, anyone to know. Yeah.
I think one of the things I didn't like to hear when people say, well, God knew the type of child you would have. And, I didn't like to hear it in the beginning. And those kinds of advice, even though people are saying it to you, it's something that you do realize in the long run. Because one of the things with when something happens unexpectedly, we've learned that it's not that God has done it. But a lot of times, because he loves us, he's not going to waste our experiences. So when the word says that it works out for our good, it's not God said, here's this problem, I'm giving this problem to you. Right. We live in a fallen world.
Hello, this is Terrell Pugh, and thank you so much for listening to the Gabby podcast. How would you like to do what you love, working with couples as a marriage coach, or with individuals and families as a Christian counselor? Well, we can help you over at tntpugh.com. That's tntpew.com. Hey, we'd love to help you get started today, again, working as a marriage coach or a Christian counselor. Head over to tntpew.com. Thank you.